Hello, good morning, Jill Wine-Banks.
Good morning. I'm so glad to find a fellow spirit of night owl.
Yes.
Well,
Slash insomniac.
yeah.
I don't know if I'm ever going to sleep again. Jill, this is... All right, so the latest breaking news, Travis, is so the State Department officials are not going to show up for
Pompeo says State Department officials will not show up for scheduled impeachment depositions this week.
I help.
I saw that. I did a Minnesota Public Radio this morning, and that wasn't happened yet. It just happened in between.
Jill, I can't help. I can't get my mind around what is happening. I felt like this one tweet summed it up. The president and the attorney general are reportedly working the phones and flying around the world, soliciting foreign governments' help in screwing over the United States intelligence officers who identified and documented a Russian attack on the United States. I am completely lost legally. Help us.
Well, it's not only legally, it's just in terms of being sensible. First of all, why are we still looking at the 2016 election when we know that the 2020 election has been threatened? So why is anybody from the government looking at whether there was something different, even though it's been debunked, there's no evidence, they're trying to create fake information? It just makes no sense, period. It's not just legally, it's just mentally insane.
Yeah, no, exactly. One of our callers said, I thought Watergate would be the biggest scandal in my lifetime. I really feel like it's hard, you're right, not just legally, Jill, but mentally to wrap your mind around.
Yeah.
And I don't think the founding fathers could ever even have imagined what we're facing right now. That as you basically said, the president, the secretary of state, the attorney general of the United States of America are pressuring foreign countries, flying to countries around the world, chasing conspiracy theories at the behest of the president. I mean, I don't... And I asked, seriously, I don't know, who arrests the attorney general? I don't understand what we do.
I don't know. And what's so interesting is that during Watergate, there actually was more belief in the rule of law by that administration, despite their many criminal acts, than there is here. Here, there's just complete ignoring of the rules. And you said something just now that really is true, which is that our whole foundation of government is premised on the fact that most people will abide by the law and won't flout it. Whereas here, this letter from Pompeo is outrageous, saying, I'm just not doing it. I'm not showing up. I'm not letting any of my people show up. You are attempting to intimidate, bully, and treat improperly the distinguished professionals of the Department of State. If those are distinguished professionals and they are career people, they ought to resign in protest. Now, I know that's asking a lot for someone to give up their job, but they have to come forward. They must speak up and tell the truth about this. America needs patriots now, and that's what they would be, is patriots.
Yeah. Well, as you tweeted, the new Quinnipiac poll shows 47% of voters support impeachment and removal of Trump from office, up from 37% in end of September. You say public opinion's moving fast, as it should be. The facts are raining down on us in a deluge. And we haven't even begun yet, really. That was going to be my next question, is do we have to, we were just saying that we feel like Nancy Pelosi should call them back. They should vote now on articles of impeachment. Shouldn't they?
Yeah, it's they have to do something, and the courts have got to step up.
Yeah.
They have to expedite the cases that are pending now. The McGahn subpoena and the Rule 6E have to be done, and these people have to be held in contempt. The inherent power of contempt of Congress can be used.
Yep.
Something needs to be done. They cannot be allowed to get away with this kind of behavior. Checks and balances is fundamental to our government form.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have checks and balances if you can't get witnesses to testify. And I keep reminding people, it's not just the investigation of criminal acts by the president that's being obstructed, which is what was being obstructed during Watergate. Here, you also have normal oversight so that witnesses about children being kept in cages are not allowed to testify. You can't have our government operate without the cooperation between the branches. And, on the other hand, I also, some of this, as much as I am for public disclosure and the people knowing, I don't want to give a platform to Rudy Giuliani to behave the way Corey Lewandowski did.
Yeah.
And I bet that Rudy Giuliani can out Corey Lewandowski, because he's really totally, I don't know, he's totally lost it.
Yeah.
And so, don't give him the platform. Let him testify in private and then reveal his testimony, because I couldn't stand to watch it.
I know.
I honestly just don't think I could stand to watch it.
Jill, I never thought I would say this to you, but I want to play you a soundbite from Fox News.
Oh, God.
Here's Judge Andrew Napolitano.
The House of Representatives has not yet taken a vote to move forward with impeachment. When it does, if it does, then the president loses a lot of defenses, like executive privilege evaporates.
Do you agree?
Well, yes, I hate to say that I could possibly agree, but it is true that a formal vote makes it absolutely clear. I would say that anybody who reads the newspaper and sees that there is already more than the number needed for an impeachment vote who support impeachment, with the declaration of the Speaker of the House saying we are in an impeachment inquiry, and we have assigned all of the committees to do their separate investigations of the various crimes and coordinate it all through the House Judiciary, which is in charge of the impeachment, that's enough to have opened the floodgates of any advantages that declaring an impeachment does. So I think we're already there. It's just a formality. Obviously, if a vote were called today, it would pass.
Well, and as you put it in one of your tweets, we must hold 45 accountable before it's too late. I mean, that's what this feels like. I mean, it just, and I feel like it obviously gets more dangerous by the hour. I mean, he's literally threatening to execute, I guess, the whistleblower and Adam Schiff for treason, start a civil war. Giuliani
says Schiff should be removed.
Right.
I mean, who is he to say that? He who is going around the world trying to get dirt and probably violating at least the Logan Act and maybe the Hobbs Act.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about the Hobbs Act. That's a law that I used often in the organized crime section, frequently used against the mafia, but very applicable here, also used against labor racketeers. And it basically says if you use under color of law, you try to get something. Well, I would say that even the private attorney for the president going around trying to get something from a foreign government is acting under color of law. And certainly the president's conversations with Zelensky from Ukraine, with the Prime Minister of Australia, with who knows who else that we will uncover. Could be while we're talking. There could be new ones being revealed as we sit here.
Yeah.
There are Hobbs Act violations. There's federal election law violations. So there's plenty of wrongdoing going on right now that is criminal, but no one is going to indict because the Department of Justice is in charge, and we've already known that Barr won't do it.
You said something terrifying last week, that, because as people have said, like Nixon might have gotten away with it if he had destroyed the tapes.
Yeah.
And you said, I hope they haven't destroyed them. I mean, one of my callers wanted me to ask, can they subpoena the server that all of these, because obviously now we're hearing Australia, right? Britain, Italy. I mean, it's just he's cheating on us with a lot of countries, Jill.
Yes. Well, he's always had a lot of outside interests.
Yes. Is that what the kids are calling it?
The answer to your questioner, to your caller, is that the committees have already put on notice. They've done two things. One, they've said those should be secured, so any action now would be a clear obstruction of justice. They've also started to use the rule that is frequently used in trials that says that your refusal to come forward will be deemed an admission of guilt, basically, and that the evidence would have been harmful to your cause, and we can so interpret it. And that's what they're saying now. So in the same way that this refusal from the State Department, and if the State Department's refusing, I'm willing to bet that so will every other witness going forward until the courts do the right thing and issue an opinion that says that they have to come forward.
Yeah. Rudy Giuliani tweeted, I have received a subpoena signed only by Democrat chairs who have prejudged the case. It raises significant issues concerning legitimacy and constitutional legal issues, including attorney-client privilege and other privileges that will be given appropriate consideration. Your friend, Mimi Roca, said you already admitted you weren't acting as a lawyer when you were doing all these corrupt things, which was obvious, so you really can't hide behind privilege now, and there's also a crime-fraud exception. I mean, that's correct, right?
Yes. Well, the crime-fraud exception is the clearest to me, which is that when you are committing a crime, you don't have any privilege. That's for sure. And he has said he was acting on behalf of the State Department, which, of course, the State Department has said no, which is why Pompeo and Giuliani are fighting with each other and calling each other names.
But we have him on tape saying he was not operating as an attorney. Right. And then, as we just talked about, if they vote on the article, vote on impeachment, then executive privilege goes away. So, I mean, they just don't have a legal leg to stand on here, do they?
They don't. But that doesn't stop them, and it doesn't, unfortunately, stop the group of loyal supporters who will believe anything they say, who only listen to Fox News, and who hear a very different version of facts. I challenge all those people who listen to Fox News to read the transcript and to judge what they think based on the words used. When they read that the president said, in response to a request for vitally necessary defense of Ukraine, said, well, there's a favor I want from you, though. Before we can discuss this, I want this.
Right.
That makes a very big difference.
Sorry.
So I think reading the words, this is something the president has admitted. It's his words. He released it.
Well,
and much like in Watergate, where the smoking gun tape was released by the president after he said, we now know from listening to tapes, we didn't know then, well, it's not so bad. Obviously, Donald Trump thought that this transcript was not so bad, and he was going to release it.
Well,
it is bad.
Speaking of Fox News, going to make you listen to one more Judge Napolitano, because some Fox viewers are hearing this.
Once the president released the transcript, a document that was classified, which he declassified, this issue of is the whistleblower's complaint based on hearsay is now moot, because the best evidence is the transcript itself, and the president acknowledges that those are his words.
I mean, this whole thing is just...
This is a new Fox News, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's, Jill, I mean, I wonder if that has something to do with the numbers, that, they're hearing a Shep Smith and a Judge Napolitano and a Chris Wallace. I just, and, we're certainly hearing about sort of panic and chaos at Fox News, not knowing how to handle this, right?
Yes, and they've also, of course, said, they've admitted that Judge Napolitano and his wife are acting off the books on behalf of Donald Trump, helping to gain information about this false, fake conspiracy theory. So,
unbelievable. You tweeted, by the way, this is 16 felonies ago, I believe, but you tweeted about Trump meeting with Wayne LaPierre, asked if the NRA would finance his impeachment defense. Pierre said he would if Trump promised not to pursue any gun legislation. You said yet one more abuse of power, one more extortion. I mean, this is just, do you agree with the narrowing the focus of the impeachment? But I just, this is just extraordinary in volume, isn't it?
I think as a trial strategy, you do have to narrow it somewhat. I don't think you can narrow it just to Ukraine, because you need the context of Ukraine. The Ukraine story, by the way, Rachel Maddow did a brilliant job last night of summarizing the start of the problem with Russia invading and taking Crimea and the need for defense, and what the Javelin missiles are, and putting it all in the context of the vote to release the money to help Ukraine. Did she
include the part about how Obama only gave them pillows, as the president told us?
Yes. And the President Obama didn't withhold anything for his own benefit.
Right.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
So I think you need a context, and I think if you look at the 3 articles of impeachment against Nixon, they all apply, and you would narrow it to those three categories: abuse of power, obstruction of justice, contempt of Congress. That's enough. And there are so many examples within that you would have to narrow it to which examples of contempt of Congress do you want to use. If it were a criminal trial, we listed, for example, 45 overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy to obstruct.
Wow.
And that was just a sampling of them.
Where I bet I can read about that in the upcoming memoir, Watergate Girl, which comes out in May.
Woohoo.
And we're way long as usual, but I'm going to drop your name to you. Guess who I'm having dinner with at Politicon?
Oh, who?
Jill Wine-Banks.
Yay!
What?
Yay.
Oh, my God.
Very excited
Jealous.
about that. We're so lucky to be able to do that.
Yep, I know. Can't wait to see you.
Amazing event. It's going to be. I can't wait to see you.
Me too. Thanks so much. It means so much to us. You take time. It is such just a crushing and I know busy time for you.
You always cheer me up in a way. I mean, just listening to my little jingle makes me happy.
Aw, good.
Away from the shock of reading that Pompeo is going to thumb his nose at Congress once again.
Yeah, I know. It is a crushing time for America, and you are a shero. And I love you. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.